Oh, kaya mo naman siya kami nga nito, ma'am. Oh? Kung sanay lang nga nito, ma'am. Nimbula, ayaw Mr. Ben.
Ella ba?
Na magikiro manolo kinedyo na bimata ka monisi kinafangarumbuka.
Nimbula FM, number 2 and selling.
Tonight, government works for the people and not the international community, says Prime Minister. No confirmation yet on UFDF coalition for next year's elections, says NFP. And positive outcomes to crack down on illegal scrap metal dealings. Good evening and welcome to FBC News. I'm Amrita Priyadarshini. Everything that the government has done and the progress it has made has been for the people and no one else. This is the statement from Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama in response to the positive reactions from overseas on the release of the 2013 Constitution.
The release of Fiji's fourth Constitution has been widely welcomed. New Zealand has relaxed some of its sanctions. The UK says this could be Fiji's passport back into the Commonwealth, while the Pacific Islands Forum says Fiji will be welcomed back as a member after free and fair elections. While the reactions have been welcomed here by the government, Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama has made it clear what they've done was not to satisfy the international community.
Take notice of what we are doing, our deeds, not our words. It's great that Australia, New Zealand, the European Union, the Japanese, etc. are coming out in support of the Constitution and the election process. But as I've already said in the past, and I keep saying, we didn't do this for them. We did it for the Fijian people.
Bainimarama says his government has kept true to their promise to the people of Fiji, and that's all that matters.
We promised them we would finally give them the basic services they need after years of false promises. We promised the Fijian people a genuine democracy, not the ethnically weighted sham we've had before. We promised the Fijian people national unity. We promised to make Fiji great again, to be the regional leader and a role model for our neighbors. And we are delivering. We are serving the people, so it's them who I'm concerned about.
The Prime Minister goes on to say that he is bemused by the reactions of some groups here in Fiji who continue to oppose the work of the government and the Constitution. Bainimarama argues that the Constitution is one of the best in the world and those who oppose it have their reasons.
And some of these supposedly pro-democracy campaigners don't want it. But we all know why these old politicians don't want equal votes of equal value. Because they owed their positions in the past to everyone voting under an ethnic-based electoral system. Now, they now have to appeal to everyone, and they're terrified of that. They're actually scared to face the judgment of all Fijians.
Bainimarama says old politicians are scared to let the people of Fiji have their say under the new constitution, adding only time will tell when every Fijian delivers their vote in the 2014 elections. As for the international community, Bainimarama says it's good that they're coming on board, but his government will continue to work for the betterment of all Fijians. Roland Koroi, FBC News.
The National Federation Party says there hasn't been any confirmation yet on the formation of a coalition with the Social Democratic Liberal Party and the Fiji Labour Party for next year's elections. This was discussed at the NFP Working Committee meeting that was held in Nandi today. Akasita Tale has more.
Discussions at the NFP Working Committee meeting today surrounded the Constitution and the party's roadmap to elections. Questions were also raised on the membership of the United Front for Democratic Fiji. However, no confirmation yet on the formation of an alliance with other party members.
We haven't reached the stage of an election yet, so there has been no talk on the coalition.
The committee also discussed the involvement under the UFDF, but Raman Pratap Singh wasn't ready to disclose any information yet.
We've been given the right opportunity to talk to the other parties, keep matters in discussion regarding constitution and the regime in the UFDF.
The NFP is now looking at setting up its branches around the country as required under the Political Parties Decree 2013. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
The Scrap Metal Task Force set up to monitor illegal scrap metal dealings has been very successful in its efforts. There has been a drop in cases of stolen metal. However, the task force continues to monitor scrap metal dealers in the country. Apisalome Doka reports.
The Commissioner Western's office says they are happy they have toned down the stealing of infrastructure metal in the Western Division.
Now, the message that is coming from Telecom Fiji and other infrastructure companies that there is no more of stealing of infrastructure metals. Infrastructure metals like cables, FEA lines, FSC tram lines, and PWD or Water Authority pipes, galvanized pipes, and also other infrastructure metals that supports the infrastructure development of the Western Division.
Commander Choeli Dawaki says one of their strategies was to target the source.
What we did in the exercise, we had to go down to the source. It's a question of supply and demand. So a company that is operating scrap metal or buying scrap metal, they are demanding. They are demanding for scrap metal in order to sell to overseas buyers and get their returns from there. So what we did is we go down to this whoever is demanding and stop the supply from there.
Commander Dawaki says there are still some bans in place on scrap metal dealings.
We have banned ferrous metals. Ferrous metals in the sense that these are the metals that supports the infrastructure, mostly copper for telecom cables.
He says a decree is in place for scrap metal dealings and all companies involved will have to abide by it. Apisalome Doka, FBC News.
For the first time next year, 18-year-olds will have the right to vote. And it's important that they know and understand the Constitution. As Chanel Shivan reports, it seems a lot more interest is growing amongst youths in actually familiarizing themselves with the document.
Eager to get a copy of the Constitution, youths, most of whom are eligible to vote in next year's elections.
Most ordinary Fijians are focused on the future. They're focused on having a transparent system of governance. They're focused on having a Bill of Rights that addresses, everyday issues. And I think that's captured the imagination of the people, in particular the younger people.
I'll go through this. At the moment I'm browsing it. Maybe in the weekend I'll read a white, and then I'll see what's a white, and I believe that it's all about the in good sense of our citizen governmentship.
So you think there is rights for youths in the Constitution?
Yeah, sure, because this is the first year I'm getting voting in the system, so all is well.
Attorney General Ayaz Sayed Qayyum says the massive turnout by the youths show they are focused on the future.
And we have in fact placed a very large order, and in fact we are running out of it. So every day we are getting more and more printed. We've had people come up to the offices wanting copies of it, actually queuing up. As you know, the Prime Minister has been distributing it in Vanuatu. In fact, in a couple of places we ran out of it.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama on numerous occasions has said that people need to fully read and understand the Constitution before criticizing it. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
The Tokyo Affairs Scholarship Unit has received 6,140 applications for scholarships for Semester 1 in 2014. And as Shireen Latta reports, there has been an increase in the number of applications received compared to previous years.
Out of the 6,140 applications received, 340 are applications for overseas scholarships and 5,800 for local tertiary studies.
Our team was at Lotoka Agriculture Show. Once they bring in the application, we'll enter into the database as well. What I've recorded from this morning, they've nearly 800 something applications that they've received for the 1 week they were there in Lotoka.
Tomasi Valo says they are working on a shortlisting criteria to be submitted to the Itoke Education Committee.
For this year alone, from semester 1, there are about 1,600 awarded in semester 1. Now we add on to the semester 2, there are total about 2,020 altogether have been awarded scholarship for this year alone.
Students are advised to take examinations seriously as the Itoke scholarships are awarded based on merit.
That's what we've been stressing to all students now, especially Form 7 now. We've been emphasizing to them about the marks. Marks is very important. We told them for Form 7 is 250 FSFE, you have to pass 250 and above. But we told them that's a minimum mark. Please, they have to be aware as well, we've got a quota in place. Don't just go for 250. We told them, aim high, aim for 400. You might become 300 level, but not to 250, you might not able to meet the criteria that we set.
Applications for 2014 Semester 1 overseas scholarships closed on 2nd June, while local scholarships application closed last Friday. Shatin Lata, FBC News.
In the news ahead, where virgin coconut oil was first produced.
Isambolo binaka, na dango wadi soni dalai, na makil mani wasini ngono borota kina lali ne kabi, mai na tolu kina bitu, ena moni digina porombuka, ena Bula FM, na bandu ena serre.
Bula, I'm Wame. Join me every weekday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on The Center Show with classic hits from the 70s as well as the 80s right here on Gold FM.
Welcome back to FBC News. Methodist Church ministers will have to decide whether they will work with the church or work against it by ignoring the directive from the head of the church. The church president says the directives are here to stay and everyone must adhere to it. Apisalome Doka reports.
The president of the Methodist Church of Fiji, Reverend Tuikilekila Wangai Ratu, says he will not make any amendments to the directive he has put in place for the spiritual growth of the church.
This directive will be received by the Standing Committee and confirm the President's directive. This should all be obeyed too by all Methodist Church members.
Reverend Tuikilekila Wangai Ratu says the overconsumption of Yangona is taking its toll on church ministers and it needs to stop.
We have a lot of young church ministers, but they look old because of the excessive consumption of Yangona and smoking. We are monitoring their outputs and have seen that church minister that consuming a lot of Yangona have very poor outputs to the work that he has been asked to do.
Reverend Tuikilekila is urging his ministers not to go against his directive but work on it because it is for the best.
When this directive will become a policy in the next Moscovite and put into the church constitution, all church ministers will have to follow. If any one of them will breach the constitution, he will be suspended and will not receive their stipend or living allowance. And if suspended for 3 months, how will the minister look after his family? They must be wise and decide whether they will work with the church or work against it.
The church president has also imposed a ban on selling kava from all church ministers' residence. Apisalome Doka, FBC News.
The Fiji National University, Fiji Film, the Indian High Commission in Fiji and Damodar Village Cinemas have launched the Fiji Film Festival 2013. The week-long festival will see overseas and locally produced films screened at FNU campuses around the country. Films shown in the local Kula Film Awards would also be included. Around 230 entries for films from 28 countries were received.
Apart from the fact that this film festival creates another destination, if you like, in the overall tourism branding of Fiji, it also does create, hopefully, an interest amongst you, amongst the students, amongst the younger generation, about the fine features of filmmaking.
The festival, free to audiences at all venues, will end on 21st September 2013. 90 yachts from around the world gathered at the Muscat Cove Island Resort in Malolo Island yesterday to celebrate the 30th annual Fiji Regatta Week. As Akusita Tale reports, Muscat Cove is fast becoming a favorite stopover for yachters, giving a major boost to tourist arrivals.
The resort, private homes, timeshare, yacht club and the diverse services makes Muscat Cove very different from any other island resort in Fiji. With 90 entries compared to 80 last year, Muscat Cove is fast becoming a favorite stop for yachties.
We have our own supermarket where they can come in and replenish their supplies and then head back to their next port. And the facilities we have our own fuel dock, so they can come in, not only restock on their supplies, but top up on the fuel before they set sail to head back to their next destination.
This year is different from any other, as yachties pay tribute to the late Dick Smith, who made the yachting market a success in Fiji.
This is, what he dreamt, and he's been welcoming the yachties and the sailors to his island home for the last 30 years. And, we want to make sure that the week is dedicated to him and everything that he wanted for the yachties and the sailors to enjoy while here in Fiji.
While the regatta may be a stiff competition to many, the learners who have been sailing to Fiji for the past 20 years say it's more than that.
The marine industry in Fiji has really grown since we've been coming. It gets bigger and bigger every year, and while there's still room for us, we're still coming back.
The regatta ends this Saturday. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
The Salava virgin coconut oil on the Dia Island in the Lao province is now targeting bigger markets. Yvonne Iris, who runs the business, says they've been selling their products to local markets but are now aiming to expand to the international market. Api Salamidoka reports.
Many people have now managed to produce virgin coconut oil, which is now a source of income. But to trace it all back, virgin coconut oil was first produced on Didia Island in the Lao province.
I used to have a pig farm, and I normally use coconut to feed them by using a tiny tech machine I had. After some times I was feeling bad that all the work that I was doing was all going to the pigs. I then met a nephew of mine that returned from the Philippines, bringing with him a DVD of how to produce virgin oil. I then tried it out here on the island. Even the people of Didia were surprised that I managed to produce the virgin oil that is now being used in the country today.
Yvonne Iris is the lady running the Selabo virgin oil business and says the demand is getting higher on the island.
Business on the island is very good. Some people that had skin disease were healed by using virgin oil. These are the people that have been buying a lot of it.
Iris says today virgin coconut oil isn't the only product they are sourcing from coconuts.
3 layers will appear when we leave the coconut juice overnight. The virgin oil will be in the middle. The other two, we call it the sinu, which we use to produce coconut oil and bathing soap. Water at the bottom of the bucket is then given to the cows and pig to drink. It tames them.
Iris says they have sent their products to Fijians abroad and have got positive responses, paving the way for a bright future in the international market. Apisolo Medoka, FBC News.
In sports tonight, Suva fights to live another day in Fairbrother Sullivan Trophy Challenge. While Rugby League gears up for the Battle of the Bathi.
How would you like to spend your morning? You could spend your morning like this. Or you could spend it like this.
Tune in to the Morning Ride every weekday morning from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. right here on Today FM, Today's Hit Music.
नमस्ते दोस्तों, मिर्ची रफ्तार से मैं अश्निल सिंह। शामिल हो जाइए हमारे साथ मंडे टू फ्राइडे फ्रॉम 3 to 7 p.m.
Welcome to FBC Sports. Now, the Fairbrother Sullivan Trophy remains in Suva for another week, but it wasn't easy at the ANZ Stadium yesterday as Vatukola made it a worthy challenge to go down fighting 32-20. Elena MacDonald has more.
All on defences, it's gone on now.
Suva lives to fight another day. And while yesterday's encounter resulted in 5 tries to Vaticola's 3, the Fairbrother Sullivan Trophy Challengers is only getting harder to defend.
There are lapse of concentration. When you're up 19 and you lapse, and Fairbrother now know how hard it is. Vaticolo came in with the will to win. That's what the Fairbrother is all about.
Scoring for the Capitals was a double to Sunia Kumbu, and 1 each from captain James Brown, Nathani Wakaya, and Joe Brown.
Here's the effort, here's the try, here's the end result.
But Vaticola, although losers at the end of the encounter, raised the din of the crowd with superb tries. The match belonged to the gold miners, but the trophy remains with Suva. It's now 3 from 3 for the Capitals, with Naita Siri up next. Elena MacDonald, FBC Sports.
This coming week plays an important part for the Vodafone Fiji Mbati's Rugby League World Cup preparations. The best of the best will meet on Thursday at the ANZ Stadium in the form of the Battle of the Mbati, where our final 24 will be chosen to play in England. For some, being involved in another World Cup would be the icing on the cake to the end of a playing career. Elena MacDonald reports.
As one of 3 remaining local players from the last World Cup, this guy knows trying out for the team again 4 years later will not be an easy task.
It's me and myself. I have to deliver. If I don't, bad luck.
And it's no wonder, with a star-studded squad expected to arrive in the country from tomorrow for the all-important trials in Suva on Thursday. No one said it would be easy, and there's no doubt the local squad members will be feeling the pinch a lot more to make that final team.
I'm up to that standard since I'm coming to the end of my career. It's a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. We'll see Thursday night, 7.
Fiji is pooled with England, Australia and Ireland. There's lots of potential with the locals to make the final cut. And come Thursday, the true battle begins for Fiji ahead of the World Cup. Elena MacDonald, FBC Sports.
The most recent Pacific mini-games in Wallis and Futuna may not have been the best placing for Team Fiji, which finished 4th. But it's given everyone an aim to do better in 2015. Papua New Guinea will host the Pacific Games, and Fasanok will be doing all it can to get Team Fiji ready for the event.
We've been following the progress of both Papua New Guinea, and we've benchmarked ourselves against Papua New Guinea in the preparation for the 2015 Games. We're looking at Tonga 2019. However, we've at our recent board meeting 2 weeks ago, we decided to continue our due diligence, so to speak, gathering information.
Come September 2014, Team Fiji will be considering putting in a bid to host the next Pacific Games. Suva, Savu and Lambasa experienced some rain again today. Elsewhere, it was fine. Ba and Lotoka were the hottest today with 31 degrees at 4 this afternoon. Tomorrow's weather will be the same as today's, with Lambasa, Savu and Suva to get some showers. And for the further outlook, fine apart from brief showers over the interior and the eastern parts of the larger islands. The headlines again: government works for the people and not the international community, says Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama in response to overseas reactions to release of the new constitution. No confirmation yet on UFDF coalition for next year's election, says NFP. And positive outcomes to crack down on illegal scrap metal dealings. Remember, this is your last chance to have your say in this week's opinion poll. We ask, should the new Australian government engage with Fiji quickly? Visit the FBC website www.fbc.com.fj to take part. And results of this week's opinion poll will be revealed tomorrow. Remember to send us newsworthy pictures and videos. Email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj. That's FBC News for tonight. Until next weekend, Modemada.
Hope you're enjoying the music right now on Gold FM. Only the classic hits, especially if you're spending your time at home or around the office. I certainly hope you're taking it easy and enjoying the music coming your way. Well, I got a whole lot more to keep you moving and to keep you going right up until you reach knock-off time. I'm Kara. Join me every weekday from 2 to 7 on The Ride, only on Gold FM.